Hi, how are you doing today? Thanks for joining me again on YouTube. I'm professional artist and author Wilson Bickford, and I'm here to show you some more tips on how to get some nice techniques in your oil painting. A lot of people have asked me about doing windows in buildings. They say, how do I paint a window in a barn or a lighthouse or a building of some sort and not just make it look like a black hole? Make it look like there's glass in the window and not just an opening. It's actually pretty easy. I'm going to show you today the easiest way that I found, the most convincing way. It's actually quite easy. If you notice on this one, if we can zoom in on this, this is a painting I did many years ago. I won several awards for this back in the day. This is called Hollyhocks and Mist. But if you notice on this, the windows have a little glint of, looks like bluish tone. You simply reflect some of the blue sky color. This is kind of a blue-gray. I put that color in the window so it looks like it's reflected into that. Notice I left a few little spots where it looks like the panes have been broken out, and it is black there where it looks like the glass is broken. But I simply just used the sky color in the painting. Well, I've got a couple more here. I'll set this one out of the way. This one is a lighthouse scene, but since it's a different time of day and a different mood, we have a sunset. I reflected some of the reds and the yellows and the oranges into the windows on this side, so it gives you the impression that that color is reflected into the window. It's that simple. This side I left alone because it looks like it's kind of facing the opposite way. It's in shadow. Not every window is going to be illuminated with a glare. The sun is on this side, so it's going to be more prevalent on this side of the building, on the highlighted side. But you get the idea. It's very simple. You just put the color of what your sky and your surroundings is in that. Now this one, again, is totally different. This one is kind of winter scene in the morning, but I put some warmth in the windows so it looks like it's lit from the inside. If you've got a darker overall mood outside, nighttime, you want it to look like it's lit from the inside, you just put yellows and oranges in your windows, and it kind of gives you the impression, because that's not in the sky, it tells the viewer that it's lit from the inside. So I'm just going to give you a quick little primer on this. I'm going to use my large number 10 flat brush. This is out of my signature line. It's a synthetic, great brush. It holds a nice square chiseled edge, nice sharp edge when you load it up. I've mocked up a little window here just on a canvas panel. This is acrylic and it's dry. So I'm going to wet this down a little bit. Now you can do these windows wet or dry. If this is dry like this, it helps to wet it down with some clear medium. I'm going to use liquid today. It helps to wet it down with some clear medium. It just makes it a little easier. It facilitates the blending, makes it go on a little easier. You can do these windows wet into wet. Now this is a very big window, obviously. You wouldn't make unless you were doing a huge canvas, you wouldn't have a window this size. I've blown this up so you can see how I do it, even on the small windows, like on the paintings I just showed you. But you can do these wet on wet. If I do it wet on wet, I simply put black oil paint in here, a little bit of blue next to it, maybe a little bit of a lighter blue down here, and I just kind of mush them together. I don't paint the whole window in black because it would mud up all of the white and the blue or red, whatever color I put into that. So if you do it wet and wet, you want to put the colors next to each other and then just kind of roll them together, soften the edges a little bit, let them melt into each other. This one is acrylic and it's dry. So on my palette, I have some liquid. This is titanium white, Van Dyke brown, and ultramarine blue. I'm going to say that today it's a blue sky day and we've got blue reflecting into this window. I'm going to take my 1-inch scenery brush from my signature line and some of this liquid. And I just want to lubricate these windows a little bit. Now this is just for the sake of the demo, so I'm not going to do the whole canvas. This is just to give you the idea. I'm not doing a full-fledged painting here by any stretch. But I'm going to wet that down a little bit to make the oils flow on a little easier. And I'll take my flat brush. I'm going to take a little bit of white, a little bit of blue. And I would match this tone somewhat to my sky color. If my sky was a little darker, a little bluer, I would match that tone. But you'll see I'll put some different tones in these windows. And basically I just kind of put it in. Don't pull it in solid. I kind of paint it thinly. It's going to look terrible here for a minute. I need to come back and blend it. But do every paint a little differently. Don't just do the same L-shaped corner of each window and leave some of the black showing through it. Like I said, this is going to look terrible for a second. I need a chance to put more color in and blend it. So I'm being very sketchy with it, just putting in a little here, a little there. You don't want it, just like you don't want it solid black, you likewise don't want it solid blue. And sometimes I will change things up a little bit, put a little more blue in one or the other. Got some bristles loose here because this is a new brush. And I'm going to wipe the brush off on a towel. Into that same mixture I just used, I'm going to darken it a little bit. A little more blue into that, and I'm going to put a little bit of the Van Dyke brown to gray it slightly. And I'll put a little bit of that accent in there. Now, like I said, give me a chance to blend this. This is going to look terrible for a while. Just a few little hints, just to kind of break the colors up. I'm going to rinse this brush out. I have a pail here with some thinner in it, just mineral spirits, 100% mineral spirits. I'm going to swish the brush out, and I'll come back with just some straight white. And for a little extra glint of light, I will use the white. I'm going to blend this first. I'm going to take my medium fan brush, number 3 fan brush. And the idea here is to just soften everything and blur it out enough to where there's no hard edges in it. You'll see this makes a huge difference. It's all in the blending and the softening. See, I'm not over blending it. I'm not making one solid color out of it by pulling all the blue and the gray together too much. I'm leaving some black showing through once in a while. But it gives you the impression of the sky color reflecting into that window. It gives it a surface. So it looks like we actually have a pane of glass there rather than just a black hole. If we don't run out of time here, I'll show you something really neat here in a minute. See, that's already starting to look kind of like what we want. Now I'm going to go back to this brush that I just loaded the white on. And here and there, I just put a heavier shot of white. Don't put it in the same spot on every window, and don't do every window. Maybe I'll put a little bit there. But the same rule applies. Wipe off your fan. Come back and just kind of smudge that out a little bit. It gives it a little bit more of a glare of light, like you really got some reflection glistening on that. And if I was doing a sunset with sunset colors in the background, I would use red for this rather than the blues, the reds and the yellows for my sky. See, that makes a pretty good convincing window. It's very easy. A lot of people don't know how to approach that. That's how I do it. It's very convincing, realistic looking, and it works well. The neat thing I was going to show you is if I rinse this brush out now I could have painted around it. This is an afterthought because I was just checking the time on the clock to see if we had time for this. But see, if I take some of this paint back off and do it kind of in a jagged fashion and come back to the black and leave part of that window black, it actually looks like that glass is broken. That paint is broken out and you're actually seeing into the building, which makes it more interesting, especially if you're doing a rugged old barn or an older building. It adds a lot of character and it's a great way to do it. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Check out my website and my blog. Join me on Facebook. I've got a lot of followers on Facebook, and check out Obsidian Custom Video. You'll find information at the end of this video regarding them. They do a great job of the filming. I appreciate them being here today. I'll catch you next time.